welcome the Thorold City Council. Call this meeting to order. First off, councilors, are there any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I'll move on to the minutes. Minutes of our regular council meeting held on August 8, 2007. Councilor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on August 8, 2017 be received and adopted.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Minutes of the special council meeting held on August 8, 2017. Councilor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move myself, second by Councilor Lyon, that the minutes of the special council meeting held on August 8, 2017 be received and adopted.
Again, are there any items for discussion in these minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll move on to my mayor's remarks. Welcome everyone. This past weekend being the Labor Day weekend, it marks the official end to summer and the beginning of a new school year. I hope everyone has had an enjoyable summer and you managed to have some relaxing vacation time. Tonight I have a few items to share with you. You have likely already seen in the newspaper our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau paid a visit to Fort Shura Crescent the morning of Saturday, August 26th, along with Councilors Neal, Giuliani, Sharon, Angelo, and Regional Councilor Henry D'Angelo, and our CAO, Manoj Delawadia. I had the pleasure of meeting the Prime Minister during his brief visit accompanying MP Vance Badaway. As you can imagine, residents were beyond surprised. The annual conference took place in Ottawa from August 13th to August 16th. Attending this year representing both interests were Councilor Hanley and Neal, CEO Manoj Delawadia, and myself. There we were able to meet with three ministers as part of a delegation. I met with Minister of Labor, Mr. Kevin Flynn, to discuss arbitration reform. As part of a joint meeting with St. Catharines Mayor Sensek, our CAO, and I were able to speak with the Minister of Transportation, Mr. Stephen Del Duca, to discuss cost-sharing arrangements regarding St. David's Road and how we can reduce our portion of the cost. Further to this, our Thorold delegation met with Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sports, Ms. Eleanor McMahon, to explore the grants available for offsetting our cost-sharing obligation for the St. David's Road construction. Over the 4-day conference, we also attended a variety of workshop sessions and gatherings, obtaining information and making connections for the benefits of the city of Thorold. On Thursday, August 31st, along with 5 other local mayors, I met with the new CEO of the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence City Initiative, whose mandate is to advance the protection and restoration of the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River. It was announced that the 218 conference will focus on 3 issues: climate change, Asian carp, and Lake Erie phosphorus blooms. These are topics of serious concern for our Great Lakes. And the next conference will be in Ajax, Ontario, again next summer. The Friends of Lower Seacourt had a groundbreaking ceremony for the accessibility pathway construction at the First Nations Peace Monument on Thursday, August 24. Koch co-produced a short video on the ceremony that can be viewed through Googling Koch Local TV Friends of Lower Seacourt. Over the past 3 years, we have spent approximately $3 million on improvements and upgrades to the Doherty Arena. These renovations have now been completed, and we now have a more modern facility for citizens to utilize. The main improvements include a new ice pad along with new perimeter boards and glass. In celebration, we are holding a grand reopening ceremony and party on Saturday, September 23rd, beginning at 2:30 p.m. A ribbon cutting will occur at 2:30, followed by refreshments and a free skate until 4 p.m. Everyone is invited to attend this exciting event, experience the buildings, and share in the celebration. The Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry has informed us that they have been regulatory amendments to Sunday game hunting. These amendments include the addition of the City of Thorold to the list of municipalities that permit hunting with a gun on Sundays. The Sunday gun hunting provision came into effect on Friday, September 1st, 2017. And that concludes my report. We have a number, do not have any presentations tonight, but we have a number of delegations. Our first delegation is the Ad Hoc Age-Friendly Committee. Read committee and subcommittee initiative update and request council support of various recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, city councilors, and city staff. My name is Jean Emilio-Swire, and I'm the chair of the Thorold Age-Friendly Committee. I would like to acknowledge...
Excuse me, Jean? Yeah, your mic's not on. And you have to speak into the mic, please.
Okay, I'll start. Mayor, city councilors, and city staff. My name is Jean Emilio-Swire, and I am the chair of the Thorold Age-Friendly Committee. I would like to acknowledge the other committee members present. Dan Peltier, Joey Hewitt, Mimi Peachy, Bev Smith, and councilors Neil and Ukulini, who are our council members on the committee. Our staff, so we would like also to thank very much Joanne Goulet and Donna Del Vecchio, who provide our committee tremendous support to advance our agenda, and Donna will be greatly missed by the committee. I would also like to acknowledge the tremendous support of the mayor and city councilors have provided to our committee, contributing to the progress that we have made since our first meeting in October 2015. I'm here to provide you with an update of some of our achievements since our first meeting and the future direction of our committee efforts. With partnerships with various groups including Brock, Niagara College, Thorold Secondary, Pelham, Welland Seniors Advisory Committees, we have been able to launch several initiatives. We did launch 2 surveys and produce an age-friendly assessment survey report, which is the foundation for future planning and initiatives. We have our own Thorold Age-Friendly logo. We have successfully held an age-friendly forum on June 22nd, 2016, and recently held a forum celebrating age-friendly in Niagara on June 21st, and our keynote speaker there was Hazel McCallion. We are holding an Aging in Place housing forum on October 25th at the Senior Center from 9 to noon. So please mark this on your calendar, and we hope to see you there. We are working to become a member of the World Health Organization network. Presently, I believe only the city of Welland has this designation. In order to advance our committee work more strategically, 4 subcommittees have been formed. The Social and Civic Participation, Recreation and Communication and Information Subcommittee, chaired by Dan Peltier. The Housing and Health Services and Community Support Subcommittee, chaired by Councilor Neal. The Public and Outdoor Spaces and Transportation Subcommittee, chaired by Joey Hewitt. And the Business, Health and Services Provider Subcommittee, chaired by myself and Mimi Peachy. I'd like to highlight a few of the action items of the Business, Health and Service Providers Subcommittee. The Business, Health and Service Provider Subcommittee is working to develop a checklist or card or booklet for merchants on how to become more friendly and then we're going to create some kind of an award to recognize age-friendly businesses merchants. And we hope to give out that award sometime in June of next year. We will be exploring the possibility of downtown cafe chats and or downtown walking and social interaction opportunities for older adults. Now the other committee members will also present some of the things that they have or that their subcommittees are working on. Dan Peltier will present first, followed by Joey Hewitt, and then Councilor Neal will provide comments on their respective subcommittees.
Thank you, Chairman Jean. I think we need shorter titles for our subcommittee. Mayor Luciani and members of council, the Recreation and Information Subcommittee had a unique role at age-friendly. Our primary job is to identify initiatives and projects which would keep us active as long as possible, and that way avoid and possibly reduce the need for more expensive healthcare alternatives in older age. That being said, the subcommittee worked hard to come up with 4 primary goals. One of them, to develop an age-friendly leisure guide. And this would list all Thorold-based leisure programs, services, and events for older adults. We would work on a partnership between the Thorold Public Library, the TCAG, Thorold Senior Center, and funding partners, and possibly work with sponsorships from the corporate sector to help offset the cost. The second initiative is a very popular municipal type of initiative these days, and that is initiate a park bench project for targeted Thorold public spaces. Accessibility would be a priority, and again, this is a potential project to solicit sponsorships to offset the cost. We would, however, look for council to develop a clear policy framework to guide the design and placement of benches before we move forward with this. The third major goal would to develop a plan to build and install outdoor exercise stations. This is targeting public parks, parkettes, and trails, something that many other municipalities have initiated successfully. We have already gauged interest from the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee that's been recently struck, and Thorold Secondary School Co-op has an interest in being involved in this type of project as well. And the final major goal we came up with is to improve communications tools for Thorold area older adults. We know that some older adults have not readily adapted to the use of technology in their lifestyle, and we think we should work on making those types of media as available to them as possible.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Joey Hewitt, and I'm Chair of the Public and Outdoor Spaces, Buildings, and Transportation Subcommittee. We have 7 different things we've been working on, but I have to say our public spaces influence the relationship that our citizens have within their community. So, to me, it's one of our priorities. We're trying to promote transportation options within Thorold to help the less mobile seniors and seniors in urban areas to support social connectedness. We're thinking of examining resource sharing arrangements with other organizations with transportation assets. We're exploring the benefits of the Ramp It Up program that the initiative the region's been working with, so we're hoping to get moving on that before the end of this year. We're also going to be requesting a city motion asking Ken to post to clear snow at the community mailboxes in a little more timely manner than has been occurring, and that other municipalities also be requested to possibly support the motion. Our recommendation for citizens to report burnt-out streetlights has already been made available on the City of Thorold website, so we're delighted. But with all these LEDs, I don't know. We also, as has already been mentioned, promoting a unique bench strategy with the first bench we'd like to have sponsored by the Thorold Age Friendly Committee at Lock 7 Tourism and Historical Center. And lastly, promoting new sidewalk installations with safety in mind and curb cuts, with particular attention to the sidewalks in some of the Port Robson East areas. The existing strengths, opportunities, and some gaps that are present in Thorold we're continuing to study in order to help provide policy recommendations to best support all of our citizens to make us a truly age-friendly community. Thank you.
Councilor Neal, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. It's interesting down here, up there. I am the chair of the Housing and Health Services Subcommittee, which has a few prominent people on it. John Henderson pharmacist in the city of Thorold, and Dr. Anyways, so we have a couple of doctors on our team. We are going to be recommending two major initiatives. The first one is that we need an X-ray clinic in downtown Thorold. We don't have one. And the majority of Thorold must go outside the community to have X-rays done. I believe there's 6 of them in St. Catharines, but you have to go all the way down to St. Catharines in order to avail yourself for that. So therefore, we are recommending that the city pursue an X-ray clinic in downtown Thorold so that the community does not have to travel far to obtain these services. The second one, and more major, is that we do not have a long-term care facility here in Thorold. St. Catharines has a number of them, so does Niagara Lake, Welland. They all have at least 2 or 3 of these establishments. Thorold deserves at least to have one, so that our seniors do not have to leave their community. Timing is everything. The Niagara Separate School Board will likely be approving combining St. Charles and A.T. Clancy schools together in one facility. So there's going to be one parcel of land available for a long-term care facility. Therefore, the school board will be divesting themselves of at least one of these properties. The region of Niagara will be on a list of being one of the first organizations to be offered the property as a first right of refusal. We would be remiss if the region of Niagara did not seriously consider these properties for a long-term care, progressive care facility, especially for seniors here in Thorold. Therefore, the Age-Friendly Committee are recommending the city approach the Niagara region to enter into discussions with the Niagara Separate School Board about acquiring the surplus property to put a long-term care facility in Thorold. On all these recommendations that we've had this evening from the different speakers, Councilor Ugolini will be bringing them forward under other business. So thank you very much. Jean, do you want to?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the chairs also for their presentations, and thank you for having us here this evening. And again, thank you for your support for the last few years that we've gone from everybody.
Thanks, Chief. It's always a pleasure to have you here and your board. Are there any questions of our presenters? Before I move on. Seeing none, I'll move on to our next delegate. Our next delegate is Bob Goslin, board member, Alzheimer's Society of Niagara Region. And he's going to talk to us about the dementia update and the annual coffee break campaign. Welcome, Mr. Goslin.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Luciani, members of the council, city staff, members of the public. My name is Bob Goslin. I'm a member of the board of directors for the Alzheimer's Society, Niagara Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to appear here this evening and share with you some information about our upcoming annual coffee break campaign, now in its 22nd year. Originally inspired by the Niagara Region's chapter of the Alzheimer's Society, coffee breaks have since become the longest standing national annual fundraising event for Alzheimer's societies across Canada. Thousands of coffee breaks are held each year, and since its inception has raised more than $20 million to support the local Alzheimer's societies. National Coffee Break Day is Thursday, September 21st, which also coincides with World Alzheimer's Day. More than 10,000 coffee breaks are expected to take place across the country that day. In the Niagara region, our campaign will kick off that day, hosted by our honorary chair, the Honorable Rob Nicholson, MP for Niagara Falls. Dementia doesn't discriminate. It affects anyone regardless of background, education, or lifestyle. Dementia is a health condition with important social implication that impacts our community. There's often a lack of awareness and understanding about dementia, resulting in barriers to diagnosis and care. It is estimated that there are 564,000 Canadians currently living with dementia. In less than 15 years, that number will reach 1 million. Alzheimer's disease, already the 7th leading cause of death in Canada, will only continue to grow as a public health concern. The annual cost to care for those with dementia is currently estimated at $10.4 billion. Mr. Nicholson proposed a private member's bill to establish a national dementia strategy as a solution for tackling the impacts of dementia. We are pleased to say that with his leadership and support, it has resulted in Bill C-233 becoming law on June the 22nd. This private member's bill creates Canadian Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia Partnership, bringing together researchers, healthcare providers, and private industry to work alongside Canadians living with dementia to develop and implement a national strategy. In the Niagara region, there are over 9,855 people currently experiencing a progressive dementia, and that number only continues to grow. Last year, we saw almost 1,900 new referrals in our society. And at any given time, we have 750 families receiving services in our family support and intensive care program. More impressively, we provide education for almost 11,000 participants from the general public and healthcare field. A recognized leader in the dementia care and the Alzheimer's Society of Niagara's mission is to advocate for people with dementia and care partners and provide access to a diverse range of appropriate resources and support throughout their difficult journey that will assist them in remaining independent in their homes and in their communities longer. We offer people living with dementia a welcoming place where they can access information and support, as well as connect with others who share similar experience. By accessing education, personalized in-home support services, wellness program, families can better understand dementia, navigate the healthcare system, and access the resources they need when they need them. To support a large variety of programs, the majority of it focuses on early stage dementia and are provided at no charge to individuals or families. Our society must raise $500,000 each year, and Coffee Break is a significant event. Coffee breaks provide an opportunity to invite your coworker, client, customers, friends and families, or neighbors to come together and enjoy a cup of coffee and or other beverages, even treats at break time or other special get-togethers in exchange for a donation to support your local Alzheimer's Society. Hosting a coffee break is fun, easy to organize, and a great social opportunity. Our society supplies a free kit while the host supplies the people and the location. The kit includes a coffee for the first spot, supplied locally by Barclays and Pods, with promotional signage and literature, as well as a donation box. With many of the Alzheimer's Coffee Break in Canada will be held on National Day, you can choose a date that is more convenient to you, since the Niagara campaign will run from September through December. Coffee break events are held in homes, workplaces, community centers, schools, churches, city hall, retail outlets, just about anywhere you can imagine a social gathering can take place, and where coffee, other beverages, or food can be served and a donation is collected. Some of the most successful events have been as a result of doing something a little different. Whether it's a barbecue, open house, a raffle, dress down day, selling coffee cups, or forget-me-not decals, or rounding off your bill at the cash register, no coffee break event is too big or too small, and each one makes a difference in the lives of those affected by dementia living in the Niagara region. Thanks to this council and over 150 hosts, we have raised last year $777,000. This year, more than ever, we hope that we can count on you for your support and reach our goal of $100,000. Organizing or taking part in a coffee break event in your community has a potential of raising awareness and encouraging discussion about Alzheimer's disease and dementia. It not only makes the society's accomplishment possible, but it ensures that individuals and their families, your loved ones, friends or neighbors, know that they are not alone in their journey. Consider hosting a coffee break event and make your coffee count. It's an easy way to show your support to the Alzheimer's Society. Anyone can register for a free coffee break kit by calling the Alzheimer's Societies of Niagara Region at 905-687-3914 or by visiting our website at www.alzheimersniagara.ca. Thank you for your time this evening and for your consideration in making a difference in your community today and make memories matter. Mayor Luciani, I would please present you with your coffee kit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions of our presenters? Seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. Goslin, and I definitely will have a copy very shortly. Our next presenter is Michael Sharon, Terry Fox Foundation. He's going to talk to us about the annual Thorold Terry Fox Run for Cancer Research. Welcome, Mike. It's always a pleasure having you here for this presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm not quite sure how to use this equipment. I'll put up a couple little things to show off exactly who this guy is I'm talking about. There we go. It's always a pleasure to be here and talk about it. It's a pleasure to be in the council at any time to talk about Terry Fox. It's a very special time for me. For the last 37 years, the country has celebrated the greatness of Terry Fox by having a Terry Fox Run across the entire country. It started in a small way after Terry had passed away. They decided in this country that we had to honor Terry Fox in some way and try to do the kind of things that Terry was trying to do. What Terry was trying to do was to find money for cancer research. As a victim of cancer himself, he had lost his leg and had an artificial leg. And when you look at the artificial leg that Terry had, and you look at what the research has developed today, it was an enormous difference between then and now. To the point that Terry couldn't really run, he hopped. He had to swing forward his whole body to bring that leg forward so he could put some weight on it and put the next foot forward. But he decided after he had had his treatments and was sitting around trying to think about something to do, that he was going to actually become a marathon runner, and he was going to do it no matter what. Just the kind of person that he was. And he was going to do it because he had, in the back of his mind, he had a plan that he was going to run across the country. Absolutely unheard of for a great athlete to do, never mind a man who had an artificial leg. So Terry started practicing. He fell several times. He broke his leg several times, meeting the artificial one. But after about 6 months, he was up to 10 miles a day, and then he had a plan. He would run, he would rest. He would run, he would rest, until he had done a marathon every day, 42 kilometers. And when he was to the point where he felt he could do it, he went out to the province of Newfoundland, put his artificial leg in the Atlantic Ocean, started running. And he ran every day. There was only one time between there and when he had to stop his run, which was just south of Thunder Bay, where he took some time off. And that was because a young man from Welland, Greg Scott, came up to spend some time with him. And he decided that he wanted to use the time that he had to spend with Greg. Because Greg had exactly the same cancer that Terry had exactly the same kind of treatment, had his leg amputated. And he spent that afternoon with Terry. And when the evening was upon them, at the side of a lake just south of Thunder Bay, Terry stood up and made one of the most emotional speeches that he ever made. He said, And finally, I understand why I'm doing this. There's a 10-year-old boy right over there who has cancer, the same cancer I have. He has an artificial leg. He's 10 years old. We have to do something to ensure that everyone who has cancer has a very, very good chance of beating that cancer and being able to have a normal life. Unfortunately for Terry, he went a little bit further, a couple more days, and then he couldn't go any further because his cancer had returned. And he went back home to BC, and he was honored by this country. He was awarded the Athlete of the Year. He was given the Order of Canada. He was recognized for the great thing that he had done. And it wasn't because he succeeded in what he wanted to do, because he wanted to run across the whole country. Didn't do it. Got only the Thunder Bay. About 5,000 kilometers that he actually ran. But he wanted to do something much more important. He wanted to get people to understand that they had to help other people. And that was his whole purpose, to help other people to raise money for cancer research. Taking that concept and putting it here in the city of Thorold, we have been doing this in Thorold since 1990. 1990, I decided that we would actually start doing it here because before that I was actually trying to be the great athlete that I am not and run 10 kilometers in the Terry Koch run that was organized in the city of Welland by Greg's father, actually, who was the one who put it together in Welland. I decided it would be much easier to organize a run here for a guy who couldn't run very far. And so we started in 1990. My daughter, her friends, out of the old Thorold Community Activities Group building, we raised a grand total of $2,000 that first year. It is now, many years later, 30th year in Thorold is upon us. So far, in the city of Thorold, we have raised $339,558.30, which is a fantastic amount of money when you consider the size of our community and the dedication of the people who are here doing that. We have groups of people who show up. Unfortunately, some of those people are here for what I consider to be the wrong reason, because we haven't done a good enough job so that the person they're doing it for could be there with them. This was one of the posters that was out years ago, and it shows Terry in front of people, as a leader of people. There are young kids there. There are adults there, of all ages, including my age. That's the old guy in the back. These are the people across the country who do this. And I can honestly say across the world who do this kind of thing, to raise money for cancer research. Terry Koch Foundation gives a tremendous amount of the money that's raised, a very large percentage. We have some charities where you will see something like 50% of the money that's raised actually goes to the actual purpose of the charity. Not Terry Koch Foundation. Money goes to cancer research, and it's very close to 90% of all the money raised goes directly to cancer research. And they have a special team that investigates exactly what kind of research can we look into that other people aren't doing. What is not being done that might work? And so we are looking at different projects all across the country, and especially in hospitals in Toronto and some of the bigger areas, trying to find ways in which we can help people who unfortunately have to deal with cancer. All of us, and I don't care who it is, knows or will themselves in some way have to deal with cancer. You will know, you can talk to people and know it's not what you want to do. And I would go back to exactly the amount of money that's been raised, because there's been hundreds of millions of dollars raised across this country over the years that have gone directly to cancer research. We continue to do it today, and in Thorold this year on the 17th, that's Sunday the 17th, not this Sunday but the following one. At 9 o'clock we'll start registering at Thorold Secondary School, and at 10 o'clock we'll have the run, walk, ride your bike, do whatever you want. But come out, donate, and be part of trying to raise funds the way Terry Fox would like to see people raise funds. It's gives me a great sense of pride that this community has done what they have done, but it gives me even more pride when I look at the students and the schools. We must understand that every single school in this community has their own Terry Fox Run. They've been doing it for almost 30 years. And they are the ones, as well as the adults coming out with their families and other people, who are raising this money. The young people in our community. There's an article in the paper, and I was talking to Paul about the Terry Fox Run this year. My wife's aunt is a person that I spent a fair amount of time with. Sean and I were sitting talking when Sean came over, and we had a little chat together, the three of us at the hospital. Aunt Dorothy's actually at almost 98 is in need of special care at this point in time. And we were talking about the importance of being able to do things, and it's very, very important for us when we are involved with the Terry Fox Run that we impress on people what we're trying to do. And when I went to visit Aunt Dorothy at 3 different occasions this year, I ran into somebody, and they said to me, "I know you." And I said, "Where could you possibly know me? Were you at Thorold Secondary School when I was there?" And they said, "No. But you came to Thorold Secondary School, or you came to my elementary school, and you talked about Terry Fox. And when you talked about Terry Fox, it made such an impression upon me that I've never forgotten that search." And that in itself, not any kind of anything that would come toward me, but it's more importantly, they remember Terry Fox and what he stood for and what's important. Well, this community stands for Terry Fox. It is important. It continues to be important so that we can help every single person who needs that help. These little pledge sheets are available in the community. If you don't need a pledge sheet, you can go online and you can donate. Already this community has donated well over $3,500 towards this year's Terry Fox Run. So we have a great start, and that's being done online. Everything seems to be done online these days. But these are around in various stores throughout the community, and you can pick one up. You can come forward with your donation. It could be 1 cent. It could be $1. It could be thousands of dollars. It matters not. The point is you care. The point is you understand what Terry Fox stood for. And the point is you want to try to help other people. So I welcome you all to come on the 17th. We want everyone we can possibly get there. Again, McCleary's are great supporters. They'll have the pipe band and they'll walk down to the street together as a group with the pipe playing and people behind us. It's a great feeling. And we want people not only to watch us and wave to us, we want people to be there walking at the same time, or running, or riding your bike. Whatever it is, there's a cookie waiting for you with a glass of water halfway through, and by the time you get back, there's a hot dog waiting for you at Thorold Secondary School, all donated by the great people in our community. It is so easy to organize a Terry Fox Run. You walk into a merchant and you say, "I need this," and it happens. And when I said that to one of the people who actually did one of those donations to me, he said, "Isn't that Thorold?" And I said, "Yeah, it is. That's what we're all about. That's what this city's about. That's what Terry Fox was about. And I'm very pleased and proud to be part of that whole organization group." Thank you very much for your time this evening, Mr. Mayor. And I want, again, invite all of you to come and join us and do the very thing that Terry wanted the country to do, raise money for cancer research.
Thanks, Mike, and I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of council for your participation in organizing this event on an annual basis. I know how much you sacrifice for it, and the fact that you're always there up front at this event, and I thank you for that. I'll also make one comment. I was in DC in last week of July, and I was on a tour, and we went to the last point in Canada, last western point in Canada. There was this Terry Fox statue there, and it was just a magnificent statue that we put up there. Also, the same day, I walked into the big museum BC Provincial Museum. And you walked in the door, there was Terry Fox's van, all refurbished. So
Oh,
they
okay.
really take it serious of,
Yeah.
in Victoria and all of BC. So they put that in there.
There's no question that one person can make a difference. And Terry Fox is a fine example of exactly that.
Are there any questions? See none? Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Bueno, can you take the floor for my presentation?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, ask if there's any motion.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to make this as painless as I possibly can. I'm only going to do two whereas, and I'm supposed to do all the therefore that resolved. So what I'm going to do is I'll start on the first one. Whereas in 2010, the United Nations General Assembly, through Resolution A/RES/292, declared safe and clean drinking water and sanitation a human right essential to the full enjoyment of life and all other human rights. And whereas water services are essential to social and economic development. Now, therefore, be it resolved that as member cities of the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, we commit to publicly and sustainably manage our Great Lakes and St. Lawrence water resources, and be it finally resolved that we will encourage municipalities to promote the public management of water services in order to deliver efficient and affordable water services that answers to all the needs of the communities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there any discussion or questions to the motion? Therefore, being none, I'll put the question to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? So passed. And your second question, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councilor Pion. Whereas in 2010, the United Nations General Assembly through resolution, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Pion. Whereas the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence River, and the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River Basin constitute the world's largest, freshest biosphere. And whereas the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River have been essential in supporting human habitation within the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence Basin for over 10,000 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the city's initiative encourages the U.S. and Canadian federal governments to pursue a UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve designation for the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence River, and the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River Basin, the world's largest freshwater ecosystem and ecosystem. Be it further resolved that the city's initiative work collaboratively with the 8 Great Lakes states, the provinces of Quebec and Ontario, both the U.S. and the Canadian federal governments, as well as governments of Indigenous people and members of the broader Great Lakes and St. Lawrence community to expedite the UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve designation. And be it finally resolved that copies of this resolution be delivered to the U.S. and Canadian federal governments, the 8 Great Lakes governors, the premiers of Quebec and Ontario, the Canadian Biosphere Reserve Association, and the U.S. Biosphere Reserve Association.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any questions or discussion of the motion? Therefore, being done, I'll put the vote. All in favor? Opposed? So passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Okay. Items referred to city staff. Sorry. Public forum minutes of July 18, 2017 meeting, Councilor Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Sharon, that the minutes of the Development and Engineering Services Public Forum Committee meeting held on July 18, 2017 be received and adopted.
Sorry, we've got some problems here. Okay, I'll do Councilor Leonis first. Are there any items for discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll go back to items for the city staff, and that is Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Ugolini, that the communications on the list of correspondence 5B be received and directed to the indicated staff member.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any items for discussion? Councilor Ugolini.
Agree, Mr. Mayor. Under other business, I'll bring a motion forward to support the ice rink.
Thank you. List of committees, minutes, correspondence from volunteer committees. Councilor Ugolini.
Agree, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that the communications on the list of correspondence 5D, minutes, correspondence from volunteer committees be received for information purposes and filed.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Reports, correspondence for the region of Niagara. Councilor Sharon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Longo, that the communication on the list of correspondence 5E reports correspondence of the region of Niagara be received for information purposes and filed.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Items for information purposes. Councilor Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Wilson, that the communications on list of correspondence 5F be received for information purposes and filed.
Thank you, Councilor. Again, are there any items for discussion? Councilor Longo and Councilor Peel.
Mr. Mayor, item number 2, there's a letter from a resident regarding the dog park. I'd like to bring that up under other business.
Okay, appreciate it. Councilor Peel.
I was going to bring up the same.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the question on items for information purposes. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Reports. Minutes of the General Committee meeting held on August 8, 2017. Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Ugolini, that the minutes of the General Committee meeting held on August 8, 2017 be received and adopted.
Thank you. Are there any items for discussion in these minutes? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Minutes of the General Committee meeting held on August 8, 2017. Councilor Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Wilson, the minutes of the General Committee meeting held on August 8, 2017 be received and adopted.
Again, any items for discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Other business. Okay, Councilor Lee. Mia. Leon. Everybody, eh? Over there. Longo. Manley. And
something, but Councilor Long was scooping me, so I'll support it. No, I'll support it.
Okay. Mike, did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
Oh. Councilor Eagley.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have 3 items. The first one I'll do is the age-friendly one because we have a large group here waiting. And this is the recommendations that come forward from the committee. So it's moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that the age-friendly committee for the city of Thorold was formed in late 2015 and has achieved many great milestones in a short time. And that the council of the city of Thorold recognizes the importance of planning for an age-friendly community. Now therefore, be it resolved, number 1, that the age-friendly committee commence work on attaining a World Health Organization designation of an age-friendly community to be completed by fall 2018. Number 2, that the age-friendly committee prepare an age-friendly checklist for local merchants with tips on how businesses can become more age-friendly. Number 3, that 1 or more merchants be recognized as age-friendly businesses in June 2018. Number 4, that a leisure guide be prepared in partnership with the municipality, the TCAG, the Thorold Public Library, the Tourism Committee, the Thorold Seniors Association, and the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee to highlight what recreational and social activities, services, etc. are available in the city of Thorold. Number 5, that the age-friendly committee liaison with the operations manager of parks, pools, cemeteries, and arenas on a unique decorative style bench to be installed at the Lock 7 Tourism Center and be funded from the age-friendly budget allocation. That the City of Thorold, number 6, that the City of Thorold Age-Friendly Committee meet with the Region of Niagara Accessibility Coordinator to further explore the Stopgap Initiative. Number 7, that the Mayor's Office be directed to prepare a letter to Canada Post requesting that snow and ice removal at community mailboxes be completed in a timely manner and that a carbon copy of the motion be forwarded to other Niagara municipalities. Number 8, that Community Support Services Niagara be contacted to assist with a sidewalk snow clearing program for qualifying seniors in Thorold. Number 9, that the Chief Administrative Officer be directed to contact St. Catharines Transit Commission to find efficiencies with existing transit and paratransit system with the possibility of expanding service to currently underserviced areas. Number 10, that council pursue a medical lab and x-ray clinic for Thorold's downtown core. And number 11, that if the Niagara Catholic District School Board deems the St. Charles Elementary School property to be surplus, that it is known fact that there's a lack of seniors and long-term care housing in the municipality, and that the Age-Friendly Committee recommends to the Thorold City Council, in conjunction with the Niagara region, that a business case and all necessary preparations be initiated well in advance to prepare for the purchase of the subject lands for seniors and/or long-term housing. And those are a list of our recommendations.
Thank you, Councilor. You got a second?
Yes, Councilor Neal.
Okay, thank you. Speakers to the recommendation? Councilor Whalen?
Mr. Mayor, some great motions here, Councilor. Can we have a friendly amendment on the last one about the schoolyard becoming obsolete? Can we pursue any other location also? You had that little caveat in there? Just so we can, we don't leave it at that, we can try to do some other property if possible.
I have no problem with that.
That's fine.
That we also look at other opportunities. Thank you, City.
Any other speakers to the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. And I have Councilor Lee.
Number 2, that the letter from Mike Bollebrook on the ice rate of $160 be supported. And the reason why I bring this up is, last year we went through this, we deemed that that was a fair rate. The ice is sitting empty. The ice sits empty until minor hockey and the juniors use the ice from about 4 in the afternoon to the end of the day. He took ice 15 hours, which was 3 hours a morning for 5 days, and we worked on a rate that was fair to both parties. And what he's asking for, because we didn't have a second meeting in August, is that we honor that same rate this year. So that's my motion, that we honor the same rate that we give from 2016 this year.
That's a motion on the floor. Speakers to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
And my last
Number 3.
Okay. We all received the email from Carl Pearson, District Chief of Thorold Fire Station 3, regarding the recognition of volunteer firefighter 302, Cameron Thomas Barnes, as a line of duty death at our provincial and national firefighter memorials. From November 4th, 1980 until his passing on February 26, 2012, Mr. Barnes was a volunteer firefighter with Thorold Fire and Emergency Services Station 2, serving 31 years and 3 months. So I propose a motion, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Neal, that we give $500 of the general budget overrun to assist Mrs. Debbie Barnes, Cameron Thomas Barnes' widow, with expenses associated with her attendance at the ceremony in Ottawa and the unveiling of her husband's name on the plaque.
That's the motion on the floor. Are there any speakers to this motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
I'm done.
You're done. Councilor, how many do you have?
Oh, 3 or 4. My first one is my report from the convention, Mr. Mayor. And I'd like to just put it through council just for information purposes and just make a couple of comments on what happened at the convention. First item that I thought was very important is our Municipalities Association asking for a 1% increase in the sales tax, GST, to help municipalities, because each year the municipalities are $2.5 billion in debt, further in debt each year. So this year will be another $2.5 billion in debt as far as all the municipalities are in Ontario. And we presented that to Ms. Wynn, and unfortunately she disagrees with us, as she does with a number of items. But anyway, so that's within my report. Just so people know that we approached her on that, and a question was asked of her, if not a GST 1%, then what other funding opportunities can the province come forward with so that we can bring our infrastructure up to date? And she didn't have an answer for that. There were several seminars regarding age-friendly, and that which I attended, and there's a number of initiatives that we will be bringing forward at later dates. Another item which is important, and I believe Councillor Hanley went to the actual seminar, is we need to discuss where to put marijuana manufacturing plants, exactly where to put them, and the distribution centers. Where are we going to put the distribution centers? Are you going to have them, allow them anywhere else, anywhere in Thorold, or in specific areas? We need to discuss that, because July 1st of next year, it may sound like it's far away, but it is not really very far away, and that's when it's going to be instituted. So we want to make sure that happens. Another item that came forward in one of my seminars is electric vehicles. There's a lot more of them on the road now, and I believe that we need to look at maybe setting up charging stations in public places, as well as asking private places to put some charging stations in, so that when if they come forward and we have a lot more electric vehicles driving around our neighborhood, that they're allowed to recharge. And that's it as far as that's concerned, Mr. Mayor. Just a motion to move for information purposes.
Thank you.
My second item, I move that.
You want to put that in form of a motion?
Yeah, I move that we accept the report from the municipal convention for Councillor Neal for information purposes.
Motion on the floor. Discussions to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
My second item is, I brought up a while ago, and that's Wellington Street, St. David Road area, the murals on the side of the two buildings there. And I guess now they're really in bad shape. They're being graffitied left and right. And I know that there's a report going to come back, I believe through Maria, regarding not the murals themselves, but the building that the murals are on. And I was wondering if you had a chance to review that and maybe bring back some recommendations of what we can do about it.
Go ahead, Ms. Morrow.
Through Mr. Mayor, I believe that's part of the larger Lanco Wellington Street report that is presently awaiting a report. We do have a legal opinion on that.
Okay, good, thank you.
That's it. I have Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To elaborate a little bit further on what Councilor Neal mentioned about the murals, anybody's driven down Schmon Parkway in the last little while seems in a deplorable state, especially the ones that are on the panels that can be taken out. So I'd like to ask staff to do, if they work with the mural committee, to get them taken off so they're destroyed, especially the vulgarities and graffiti. It's pretty disgusting what's happened to the ones that are out there. So I can ask staff to work with the committee and get something to get them taken off and put it in a safe place to find out what we can do with it. And so we leave that with it, would be great. And I guess Councilor Neal's motion and Maria's motion will cover the other one that's on the construction. And a couple more items. Everybody's noticed some of the safety that's happened over in Niagara once in a while about people driving into buildings and through restaurants and so on. So I'd ask for a staff report to come back to the possible to put bollards on the corner of Albert Street and Front Street, especially around Carmen Million here. People are sitting about this far from the road. If anybody would have to go through that intersection fast and misjudge the corner, something terrible might happen. So you can ask them.
Can you repeat the intersection?
Yes, it'd be the corner of Albert Street and Front Street. On both sides, I guess it would be the west side, north and south corners.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
You want all four corners or just the current?
Probably the two corners, yeah, where Harry's and St.
Areas and current?
Yes, please. Bring out a great report back on that. And lastly, and not leastly, the BIA is proposing a Halloween dog parade to go with the children's parade this year. And unfortunately, we need staff's recommendation to support this so we get the insurance covered by the city. So I'd like to ask for council's support. And supporting the dog parade will take place at approximately 9 o'clock on the 28th of October. So there'll be a dog parade, through elected categories such as dog and owners category, lookalikes, and different things in that respect. So what we'll do is we'll start at the Pine Plaza, come down Pine Street to Sullivan, down from Sullivan to Front Street, down Front Street to Regent, back up front to Claremont, and over to the library for a finish. So if I get the motion that Councilman Pimkin, or second that for me?
Yeah,
Second the motion, Councilor?
Please.
yes.
Okay. Speakers to the motion? Councilor Ely?
I just want to say, I think it's a great idea. There's a lot of people involved that have dogs. I think this is a great initiative.
Make sure you tell them to bring their things.
Dr. Benz, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the new recycling receptacles on Front Street have a poop scooper on the side of it.
Will DIA put up extra garbage cans?
We can, yes, all this event will happen on the sidewalk as opposed to roads also, so.
That's a great idea, thank you. Okay, that's a motion you asked for. Okay, speakers to the motion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the topic of dogs, I'd like to know if we could get a staff report. I know you brought this forward over a year ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything. And what you brought forward I thought was a great idea, and I think it's a good starting point. I mentioned this earlier, we had a letter from a resident from Thorold South inquiring about a dog park. Your idea came forward a year ago, so I think we should investigate that first. Maybe see the viability, liability, things that go along with the dog park. You had mentioned at the at McMillan Park, between the two oak field fences, I think it's a great idea. We have the fences in place. We need a few gates. We need a dividing area for small dogs and large dogs. So again, I'd like to know if I could get a staff report that could come back to all the council so we could discuss this at a later date.
The motion is for a staff report with regards to the dog park and Thorold Park. Speakers to the motion, Councillor Eagley and Councillor Hanley.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a good idea to get a staff report. I think we should get a staff report that looks at other opportunities in the city and costs associated with it, so that I think if we can get those for budget 218, it'd be nice so we could have a starting point. We're obviously not going to be able to do everything in 1 year, but I think that there's different areas in Thorold that would be a great idea to start somewhere and then grow on that. The number of people in Thorold with dogs is unbelievable, and I think it's something that's long overdue.
Councillor Hanley.
Well, Mr. Mayor, in 2009, 2010, I actually brought a motion forward at council that was turned down by my fellow councillors then, at a time when there was disparity amongst councillors. If you want to go back and check why I did. And I proposed then that we do create a dog park at McMillan Park. It was at the time when we put the double fencing up, and that was before I lost the election when I ran for mayor, but at that time I had a hard time getting anything through that I wanted to propose at council, and I'll bring that forward. As was, I couldn't even get funding to go to AMO, if you remember. I paid myself. So just like Council Knoll, I actually brought a motion forward for a dog park in 2009, 2010 at McMillan Park. Same concept. For you that don't know, there's a gate opening on Regent Street that exists there today. There's a gate opening at the end of McMillan Park towards Chapel Street that exists there today. And there's a gate opening on Carlton Street that exists there today. And my proposal at the time was, across the street from my house where Carlton Street is, that we put a fence directly across there. At the far, it would be the northeast corner of the park. There's a gate there. I proposed at that time that we put a fence along there and a fence diagonally so that people would be able to access that park and come into where we could have a small dog park and a big dog park. And at the other end of the park, there's a gate there on Regent Street where people could access that end of the park for a big dog park. So this is something that was actually brought forward at council almost 8 years ago that council didn't support at the time. Just to let you know that I had brought that forward at the time in regards to having dog parks in the city of Thorold. So we are very, very behind the times because this proposal has been brought forward to council before, almost 8 years ago. So I'm hoping that finally, after 8 years, and divisions between personalities and individuals, that we can finally accomplish this for the good of all citizens of Thorold. I was waiting for it to come up.
Okay, the motion is to come back for a staff report on putting a dog park in McMillan Park. Speakers to the motion. Seeing none, call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I have Councillor Hanley now. How many do you have, Councillor?
Oh, a few. Actually, I went to the municipal impact of provincial towing regulations at Amo Commons in regards to towing, and I know we have a big problem within this municipality in regards to parking. And at one time it was believed that if an individual called for a tow truck, they were the ones that were responsible for paying for it, which could be the case. We have a cash cow in this city. Brock University students. We could have our own compound. Other municipalities do it. We hire an independent towing contractor. And we actually store the people's vehicles that are not in regards to or illegally parking. And we store their vehicles. And they don't get their vehicles back unless they pay us. And if they don't pay us, it goes on to their license. And if they don't pay the fine, they don't get their license. And I went to the towing because one of the problems was that road drivers, you know, you're on the side of the highway, a guy comes up, he hooks up to you because did you call CAA type of deal. And basically that's about, they're trying to educate individuals that you do have many options in regards to what your liabilities are and what your legalization is or in regards to towing. Me, I'm going to take some time, I'm going to write up a motion that we should get in the towing business. I hate to say it. Council, students just started going to school. You want to meet me tomorrow? I'll be there 7 o'clock in the morning next to the Thorold Firehouse. That parking lot will be packed. And we don't have the individuals in this city that can monitor it as to how it should be monitored. 2 hour parking, 3-hour parking, we should start enforcing it. 2-hour parking, you're not there in 2 hours, we're gonna hook you up and we're gonna tow you to a compound in the city. And believe me, you're gonna pay to get your car back. That's what we need to do in this city. We've been talking about it now for 2.5 years of what we're gonna do about parking. Towing legislation gives us the authority. Hook you up, we hire an SOS towing or CAA towing, whoever it may be. We have the ability to control the problems that we have within our municipalities, but I believe as a council we've never come to the point where we're actually gonna live up to what we've been talking about and actually do something about it. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've done nothing about parking in this municipality. And I've got nothing more than complaints. I got complaints today already. School didn't even start today. And today it was on Winslow Preston, believe it or not. It's moving into Ryerson, Winslow. And I actually told the individual today, go around your local residents and get a petition forward and bring it forward and we can resolve the issue. It's already starting, and since we got elected, we've been talking about it, but this council's done nothing about it. Your parking committee, as far as I'm concerned, has done nothing. It's been smoke and mirrors. Let's finally grow some kahunas, you might say, and let's start enforcing the rules in this municipality. We haven't been doing it. We've been doing a lot of talk, but that's it. So talk about towing and parking and so on and so forth. We have the ability to control it as a municipality, and to this date we've done nothing about it. Nil. Policing. I went to the policing agenda because of the cost in regards to policing. And one of the items that I found out was under improving the efficiency and effectiveness of policing remains a pressing municipal priority. You know what shocked me? That while I was at this presentation, they said that 18% of municipal resources or taxes go towards policing, fire, and EMS. You know what the numbers were? 10% police, 4.5% fire, 3.5% EMS. 4.5% fire. That's an average for municipalities across Ontario. What are we paying? 24, 25? Municipalities average across Ontario, all three combined, police, fire, and EMS, is only 18%. So that tells me we have a problem within the region of Niagara, not only ourselves as far as policing goes, and fire services, and EMS. We're at a quagmire. We're paying more in this area than anybody does in the whole and all municipalities in Ontario, the Niagara region. And what I blame it on, we got too many politicians, and I honestly believe we need to eliminate one or the other. 40 years ago or 42 years ago, they made the region, and it's a duplication of costs that's put us in the predicament that we're in today, as far as I'm concerned. Because like I said before, it's the heart on how much we pay on fire in the city. When I look at how much we pay in policing in this city, we could have 18 full-time police officers in the city of Thorold, like we do full-time firefighters, and we would still have $1.8 million left over to take care of the infrastructure, so we could buy police cars, dispatch center, or whatever. We don't even have a community policing station in the city of Thorold. So that's one thing, I've mentioned it before. I got sued over saying it before, what our costs are, but as councillors, we have to collectively get together, and how are we going to solve it? We're not going to solve it because it's a quagmire across the whole province of Ontario. It's unfortunate, but that's what happened. And it's coming down to two services are draining all the resources from municipalities, fire and police. Do we need them? Yes. There's no doubt about it. But the impact they're having on municipalities and the municipalities' ability to be sustainable and take care of infrastructure. People complain about Ormond Street, and people complain about this street, and people complain about this not being done. It's because of the cost associated with two items. in all municipalities, and we're not the only ones that are suffering from it. What can we do about it as a municipality, and what can we do about it? It comes down to what they always said, when you go to the arbitrator, that's the worst things. I think they said they just got an increase of 7.5% over 2 years. The policing, marijuana, as Councilor Neal said. There, they said, obviously, anybody that has any marijuana distributions in anywhere in Ontario or Canada, as far as going to these outlet shops, is illegal. Unless you receive your marijuana through the mail, any source of receiving marijuana is illegal. So these gentlemen that are on the road or in Hamilton, it is illegal. What they talked about is the signage in front, and we need to work on this, believe me, in a quick fashion, as Councilor Neal says, it's coming. We're not going to stop it. Do you remember years ago when I tried to fight for adult entertainment? I know we were running on and everybody was up against it, and no way, I'm not going to allow it to happen because morally it's wrong, but legally it was right. And legally we had to allow it. And we're going to face with the same situation now. Legally, as a municipality, we are going to allow it. We have to. But we can designate where these types of operations are going to occur. And believe me, it's already known from Colorado, one of the mistakes they made, that in Ontario, each individual is going to be allowed to grow 4 marijuana plants up to 1 meter high. But what the mistake they made in the United States was they didn't designate per household. They said per person. So an individual that lived in a house with 500 individuals could grow actually 20 plants. We as a council are going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to deal with the way the signage is. Because the signage designates that it can't be a signage in the format where it's, and they even joked about it, where a child 17 years old can walk on the road and look and say, oh, that's a marijuana leaf, and pretend that they don't know what it is. We have to control that. We're going to have to control the area in which they operate. Also, is the commercialization of marijuana, is it an agricultural business or is it a commercial business? We have to look at that. Because if they look at marijuana being an agricultural business, you know what? We get 0 in the tax base. Because an agricultural-based business gets 75% discount if they find someone that'll give them 10 acres of land to grow it. And to me personally, it's a commercial business. It's not an agricultural business. And we as a council are going to have to decide before July the 1st, 2018, as to what we're going to regulate and how we're going to regulate them. It's coming. I hate to say it. If you're listening and streaming online, I would start looking in downtown municipalities across Ontario to open up the 2 detention centers to the distribution of marijuana. Because it's going to be a legal business, and the right entrepreneur that gets into it first is going to be the one that's going to benefit from it. But we as a council have to start today and how we're going to regulate it. So that's 3 items I went to, Mr. Mayor, and I don't want it to be on being, talking about an extent, because we need to work on it now, because we need to stop the citizen on the outside coming to us and saying, how can we allow it? It's going to be a legal business. One of the gentlemen that talked here, the top speaker at the conference was from the United States, wasn't from Canada, because they're already experiences. But we as a municipality, we need to start to work on it. We have a lot of work ahead of us in regards to legalization of marijuana on July the 1st. Another thing I want to talk about, Mr. Mayor, is bylaws and clean yards bylaws, and we need to change our clean yards bylaw in this city if we've ever had to do it before. I want to work on it myself, if I come with other councils, because this is the problem I see, just to go on, but we give a person a notice, okay, your grass is 4 feet high. So they go and they cut the grass and they do what they have to, and then they're all legal as far as the bylaw goes. They've lived up their expectations, and then what happens, they let it grow again 4 feet high. And now we got to go through the whole process again. We need to change that in the city of Thorold. We got an ever-growing problem. How about in Kiefer Road? How many guys got complained about 65 Kiefer Road? It's been continuous for months. I first got a complaint in May. We're into the fall, it's still not resolved. So me, I don't, the staff don't have the time. I'm almost to the point where I'm gonna write my own bylaw, because as far as I'm concerned, it should be that if we give you a notice, and you clean up that notice, it shouldn't be the next time we give you the notice, you can go through the same rigmarole that you did in the past. It should be once in a calendar year, you've been given a notice to clean up your yard, and you've abided by that. The second time, you don't get that luxury of being noticed, and here you go and you get another 3 or 4 weeks, because it's ridiculous to go buying up rats. I got today the 18th rat in my yard alone. I phoned the city and I'll tell you, on my neighbor today. Go look by my yard. I got my neighbor's grass is 4 feet high. The neighbor on the right of me and the neighbor on the left of me, both of them, it's ridiculous. And today I caught my 18th rat. And why? It's because our bylaws in this city are so lenient, we just brush it off. Here you go, guys covering up derelict vehicles with tarps and BS like that. We as a council, and I'll bring the motions forward if you have to, we need to start sticking up. As far as I'm concerned, it's all verbal in this room. There's no action out there. Go look. And you talk about downtown again and recently and everything. Go look at all those weeds are downtown still. We don't even take care of our own backyard, our own front yard, our own side yards. It's ridiculous. And I've laid off all spring and all summer to see what actions the city's done, and we've done nothing. And we're all talk in this room as far as I'm concerned. There's no action. And the only action is, do we need to hire more individuals? No. We just need to step up to the plate and start doing what we're paid to do. And we need to change the rules around this municipality, because school season started already, and today was the first day, and I started getting phone calls today already. And unless we do something, we're just talking in the big circle around this municipality. I know I'm going to be carrying on, but guess what? I'm fed up with a lot of talk going on in these here council chambers, and nobody being to step up to the plate and actually doing something about it. And I'm going to do something about it. So I'm putting, at the next thing, notice the motion, I'll let you know in regards to this. It's about time we start doing something for the taxpayer, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor,
Yeah, I just got a comment. A comment on 65 keepers been looked after. The grass has been cut. And for information, if the first time offense, you get 8 days to clean the property. If after 8 days it's not clean, we send someone in to do that. The second time, it's 3 days. They don't get 8 days again. Our biggest problem is that we need to go back and monitor the situation. And you can say what you want, but the bottom line, and I'm going to defend our bylaw people, is we don't have enough feet on the ground to do that. We expect those guys to go out and do parking infractions, clean yard bylaws, be here, there. That was 8 days. Is it 3 days now? With the number of bodies we got there, we cannot do that. If we need more bodies to enforce the bylaws, that's what we're going to need, and that's going to be a budget item in 2018, and then we'll see who steps up to the plate and wants to put more bodies on the ground.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Last budget meeting, I believe I put up forward more bylaw enforcement officers. I've been talking about it for a long time. That's our problem. We ain't coming up to the plate. I know we need more people, right? And it's going to take money. But guess what? I don't know what it is with the city. We're the only municipality in all 12 municipalities that doesn't have a pylon or parking, some form of paying. I said that before. There's a catch out there. Niagara Falls, Welland, St. Catharines, and all the other municipalities in Niagara wouldn't have bylaw enforcement officers or parking, specifically targeted to parking. We don't even have it. And know why they have them? Because it pays for itself. We've been talking about it, like you're talking about it now. So in 2018, the budget's coming up. I'll be the first one to put the motion forward. You'll second it, and we'll see if we can get a majority of councils around here to support it. And we'll see whether or not your mouth is where your money is.
Okay. Great performance. Councilor Dion, do you have anything?
No, as I said before, I had the dog park issue. That's been dealt with.
Councilor Sharon.
Well, I'd rather come, Mr. Mayor, what I've been asked to do by Craig Finley, who's the person in charge of this, to do a little PR work for the community-wide garage sale. On the 14th, the residents of Thorold will be holding the community-wide garage sale to become an annual event. So the residents are invited to register for the 14th annual community-wide garage sale to be held on Saturday, September the 16th. Please go to the city Thorold website and click on the garage sale item to register your sale or to download a list of all the participant sites. If you are conducting a sale, we ask that you provide your own signage and you remove it after the sale is over. And we ask all shoppers, please follow the bylaws for parking. Don't block the streets, but follow the bylaws for parking. And then we won't have to have the bylaw officer running around having your car moved out of busy street because both sides are clogged with people.
Thank you, Councilor Sharon. Is there anybody else? Everybody has spoken. I guess I have two myself. The first motion I want to bring up, Deputy Mayor Whalen, you please give me the floor.
Mayor Lieutenant?
Mayor Tim?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor? I said Deputy Mayor Whalen? Can I say that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First motion I want to bring forward is for the recruitment of director's position, and that we continue with the committee that has been formed to select the CEO. This committee would consist of myself, Councilor Ugolini, and Councilor Payne for the rest of the council term. That's the first motion I'm bringing forward. That's my motion, Councilor.
Is there any discussion or comments on the motion? Oh, you second, you have a second to the motion?
Councilor Longo.
Councilor Longo seconds the motion. Is there any discussion or comments on the motion? Therefore, being none, all in favor, I'll ask for a vote. Opposed? So passed.
I'm not opposed, I'm for it.
And you have another motion also?
Yeah, and I have one more. Okay, I've had a number of phone calls and emails with regards to the bollards on the Greater Niagara Circle Road that are in the boundaries of Thorold. And what I'm requesting a report for the elimination of as many bollards as possible due to safety reasons. We've had a number of accidents, and the gates, also the swing gates. I know that we were in litigation on the swing gates not long ago. And I heard there was a settlement. Anyways, these things are, to me, are a hazard. They do nothing to either slow cyclists down or anything out like that. I've heard of a number of times how many people have hit the bollards or hit the gates. And probably it's more due to the skill set the cyclist has, and probably not such a good cyclist. That's what you get on that on the Greater Niagara Circle routes. You get all kinds of cyclists of various skills. So that's my motion, and second by Councilor Ugolini.
We have a question. I saw your pictures of your truck that you took. Now, are these bollards, are they at the intersection of the pathway and the roadway? Or they couldn't tell by the picture exactly where they are.
Sometimes when you approach a roadway, they're there, but this is where staff has got to decide which ones can be taken out. There are some there specifically for that purpose, but even those ones, it's overkill. There's too many. And there should be a sign. It's a Highway 20, slow down. Intersection Highway 20. More of a signage as opposed to bollards. That's my opinion.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Councilor Ugolini?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say that I cycle a lot on the Circle route. The amount of bollards is excessive. and some of them definitely can be taken down. There's a few that need to stay, but that's in the minority. One of the reasons some of the bollards were put up was to keep dirt bikes and ATVers off. That's not doing anything. They just go around. So what they were trying to stop has not stopped and created a hazard for people using the trail. So it's definitely something we should look at, get rid of as many as possible, and I think it's going to be a good thing not only in Thorold, but I think all the communities should look into it.
Any other questions? Councilor Gill.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Yeah, at the very beginning, when the Niagara Circle Road Committee were establishing the trail, we were having major problems with ATVers, specifically and off-road bikes. And that it doesn't seem to be taking care of the problem. I don't know what the solution is, but I agree that we need to let other municipalities know what we're going to be doing and see if they might come along or do it in their specific communities also.
Councilor, you know something? I've ridden through St. Catharines, it's rarely seen, and through Welland.
We've got the most.
We've got, what we have is overkill. Basically, in my opinion.
Councilor Gill.
Thank you. I agree that we have too many and many of them should go. But Councilor Neal mentioned the original purpose was to get rid of the motorized vehicles. And we all, I mean, I cycle on there quite a bit also, and I see motorized vehicles all the time. My question is, has there ever been any motorized vehicles issued a ticket? Has there ever been one ticket given to motorized vehicles? Because I suspect that the problem here, as with what was pointed out earlier with bylaw, is enforcement. I don't know, can we find that out? Has anyone ever been given a
We
ticket?
have had to take on their own ATVs along the
Yeah, I know. So
to
it's-
chase these guys down.
Exactly.
These guys are so good, they're in the bush, you'll never find it, like that.
Well, I mean, there's the problem then. I mean, you're not going to get rid of them, as Councillor Eugene said, they just go around it. I've seen them. I don't think it's stopping one single person from going on a motorized vehicle. But I think they should be some sort of enforcement. I know they can't be patrolling all the time, but has there been any enforcement whatsoever? Any at all?
I'll say you'd have that as a friendly amendment to the report.
I'd like to find out if, you know, is it...
You can make that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, is there any form of enforcement? What, if any, enforcement has there been to keep motorized vehicles off the Niagara Circle?
That's what I have to say.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for Mr. Deputy, I apologize. Yeah, we have definitely been in contact with Niagara Regional Police. They've gone out and enforced it, and they do ride it regularly.
Okay.
And unlike the mayor was saying, they don't need ATVs, they do it on bicycle. I'm not saying that they're having the greatest success rate, but they certainly do it on a very regular basis.
Okay, well, it's good to know. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Any other discussions? Can I have Deputy Clerk read out the motion so with the amendment on it?
That staff prepare a report to remove the bollards and gates on the Greater Niagara Circle route on the Thorold section. And then we add the friendly amendment to have the stats for the police.
Mr. Mayor, you're asking for a report of what one should come out also, is that part of the motion?
Which ones to remove and which ones not to remove is what he's asking.
So, since there's no other discussion, put to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? So passed.
And that was me, it's back to me. And next item on our agenda is bylaws. Bylaw number 82-2017 and 83-2017. Councilor Payne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Sharon, that leave be given to introduce the following bylaws. Bylaw number 82-2017, a bylaw to authorize the execution of a pre-servicing agreement with 2524964 Ontario Limited for Port Robinson Estates, Phase 1, Stage 1, 2, and 3. And bylaw number 83-2017, a bylaw to authorize the execution of a pre-servicing agreement with Star Flower Properties Incorporated for the Confederation Heights West Community Phase 2007, and that the same now be read the first time.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
Moved by myself, second by Council Sharon, that the bylaws just read a first time be read a second and third time and do pass, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Bylaw number 84-2017 and 85-2017. Councilor Lee.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that leave be given to introduce the following bylaws. Bylaw number 84-2017, a bylaw to authorize the execution of a transfer payment agreement for the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund with Her Majesty the Queen in right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure for the Province of Ontario. Bylaw number 85-2017, a bylaw to establish certain offices for the purposes of the Corporation of the City of Thorold and to appoint persons to hold such offices, and that the same now be read a first time.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Neal, that the bylaws just read a first time be read a second and third time and do pass, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same. Any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Notice of motion. Councilor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple I want to put forward that I'm going to be putting a notice of motion forward at the next council meeting asking for funding to complete McAdam Park. We've come into a couple of incidents and scenarios whereas I may need funding from the city. We're just looking to complete. The city originally said that they would do hydro, water, and sewer. Hydro is yet to be run to the building, and now I'm told that they're looking to get an estimate from Hydro, and I'm going to be asking for funding in regards to 2 steel doors, the frames already there, some partitions, and in regards to electrical work because of a liability issue with the company that was designated to be. So I'm going to be bringing a motion forward and asking for a specific amount of money in regards to the completion of McAdam Park.
You know, clerk's department to put that together?
Yes, I texted Donna, Joanne today, excuse me, in regards to such, and she recommended that I bring a notice of motion forward today to be presented to the next council. And also the next council meeting, I'm going to bring a notice of motion forward in regards to hiring a bylaw enforcement officer that will be strictly used for parking enforcement only. It will state that whereas the city of Thorold enforced parking restrictions with a designated bylaw officer, and whereas the city of Thorold need address the issues with illegal parking, and whereas the city need to address the abuse of time parking, and whereas the city need to adopt a bylaw to enforce such with a designated bylaw officer, and I'm asking therefore be resolved that this council authorize the hiring of a designated parking bylaw enforcement officer. So your first opportunity to step up to the plate as councilors will be at the next meeting. I'm willing to go over budget. I don't want to be inundated with calls from constituents as I already have been this week, when we as a council have the ability and the authority to resolve the issue expediently. We've been sitting on our hands for 3 years. I'm putting a notice of motion forward to the next council meeting. Then we address it once for all, and we hire an individual within the city that will strictly be used for parking enforcement only.
And again, you'll bring that to the clerk's.
I will bring that to the clerk's attention and work with Joanne in regards to such to put it in the proper context. But we're getting into budget deliberations soon, so it's might as well put it up to the plate right now. White items that need to be addressed, and we'll see whether or not council is willing to step up the plate. We've been talking about it long enough. You're getting your opportunity in 2 weeks to come to the plate.
Thank you. Anybody else? Is there anybody else with a notice of motion? I have one that I'm going to bring forward, a notice of motion. And that's extending hours of alcohol service to beyond 2 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning. It's a significant community event. As you've seen this weekend, we had a horrible incident in Thorold, and I don't want it ever repeated again. And to me, money on booze until 2 o'clock in the morning, then there's something wrong, that the extra 2 hours is gonna make a significant more amount of money for the bar owner. So that's my motion, those are motion, coming up next week. You can speak to it next week under, when it's tabled.
Okay.
Okay, that'll be my motion, I'll work with you on that, John. Okay, that's one of the motions. Adjournment, Councilor Hanley.
Moved by myself, seconded by Council Long, that this year's meeting be adjourned at 8:10 p.m.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll take a 5-minute recess. Committee meeting to order. And first on my agenda is already conflicts of interest. Seeing none, I'll move on. We have no delegations and we'll move into the administration section. We have one report, CAO 2017-05, Port Robinson to Chippewa Bridget Light Group. Mr. Delwadia, that's your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendations are that the city endorse the Port Robinson to Chippewa Bridget route recommended in the Niagara Region's Transportation Master Plan, that the city approve the signage of the Port Robinson to Chippewa Bridget route within the city of Thorold, that the city forward a copy of this report to the Niagara Falls and Welland councils for approval of the Port Robinson to Chippewa Bridget route and signage within their respective jurisdictions, and that the city forward a copy of this report to councils from area municipalities on the Greater Niagara Circle route, which is St. Catharines, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Fort Erie, Port Colborne, Pelham, and Niagara region for information. That concludes the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we move for the report? Councilor Ugolini. And speaking to the report.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is an important aspect of the whole Port Robinson ferry issue as far as the feasibility and splitting the route in two and the presentation to the region, so this is a great recommendation.
Are there any other speakers to the recommendation? Okay, I have a question. Okay, I'll just call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, nothing under finance, nothing under operations. We're to development and engineering services. DES 2017-43, traffic calming on Merritt Road. I believe that's Mr. Dunsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's recommended that council approve the installation of speed humps on Merritt Road installed by Norjohn Contracting for the amount of $4,374.40 plus HST. So it concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Can I move it for the report? Councilor Longo.
So move the report.
Speakers to the report. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. DES 2017-59, pedestrian crossover at Cobblestone Gardens on Ormond Street North. Mr. Dunsmore, I believe that's you again.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's recommended that council approve the installation of pedestrian crossover signals in front of 10 Ormond Street North through the Niagara region at a cost of $20,784 plus HST. And that council further approve a budget overrun in the amount of $15,784 plus HST to be funded from the Transportation Asset Replacement Reserve, with the balance being funded through a developer contribution. So concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Can I get a mover for the report? Councilor Whalen. Speakers to the report. Go ahead, Councilor Whalen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just read through Mr. Dunsmore. Is there an actual stoplight at location with the crosswalk?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes. Yes, it will be a flashing stop sign.
So is it a yellow one or is it more full stop sign?
No, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's a yellow flashing light.
Okay, so the pedestrians will still have to be cautioned parking across upwards.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, they will have to be. This is part of a program that the region is putting on to try to educate people in the proper use of these pedestrian mid-block crossings. They will be doing putting a lot of literature out to make sure that everybody understands exactly what to do. So you still have to be careful as a pedestrian, but once the lights are flashing, you have the legal right to cross.
So it's a great deal, but cut back on speed limitations also to go with it, or just a standard?
Just standard. Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's just standard speeds.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilor Ugolini?
No, I just want to say it's a great area to implement one. Not only for Cobblestone, but the libraries there, the senior centers a block over, with all the development going on downtown, it's a great place to see and how successful we are, so we may be able to implement it in other areas in the city down the road.
Go ahead, Councilor Sherrill.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I was forgot minutes. We're talking about the crosswalk in Cobblestone. I
Yeah.
know there are several other places in our sister cities next door where they have exactly the same thing. It's essential. We used to take my mother-in-law across the street so she can enjoy breakfast once in a while in a restaurant, and to be able to push a wheelchair across the road was really, really important. It's worth spending the money. These people who are there don't necessarily get a lot of opportunities to be out and to be able to do things, and if they can do that and get across that street safely, it's extremely, extremely important.
Are there any other speakers? Just one question, Mr. Dunsmore, where exactly is it going to be located? Is it going to be located at the corner of Albert and Ormond, or is it going to be located at the new existing location?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's going to be at the new existing location.
Okay, thank you. And how much is the unit guys, the region putting up in comparison, percentage-wise?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the region's not putting anything up. We're paying for it ourselves. They're just going to run the contract for us.
Okay. Just want to know what their participation was. Okay, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. DES 2017-63 tender award sanitary sewer rehabilitation contract number 2017-400. Mr. Dunsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's recommended that the tender for contract 2007-400 sanitary sewer rehabilitation along various streets be awarded to Sewer Technologies Incorporated for the estimated amount of $634,117. Let me try that again. $634,117.50 plus HST. And the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary agreement. So concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Can I get a mover for the report, Councilor Neal?
So moved.
Speakers to the report. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. DES 2017-64 budget overrun for emergency replacement of compressor for rooftop HVAC unit at City Hall 3540 Schmon Parkway. I believe that's Mr. Watt.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. General Committee recommends that budget overrun in the amount of $6,670 plus HST for the emergency replacement of a defective compressor for a rooftop HVAC unit at City Hall, 3540 Schmon Parkway, be approved. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Can I get a mover for the report? Councilor Neal.
So move the report.
Speakers to the report. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. DES 2017-65 tender award sidewalk and curb replacement contract number 2017-160.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is recommended that the tender for contract 2017-160 sidewalk and curb replacement on various streets be awarded to Sacco Construction Limited for an estimated amount of $326,145, HST excluded, as determined by the unit prices and quantities involved, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary agreements. So concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Dunsmore. Can I get a mover for the report? Councilor Sharon.
So moved.
Speakers to the report. Councilor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know it states that it's 326, but I asked first, the internal cost of $48,921.75 to bring the project cost up to $417,465.60. What are the internal costs? Seeing that we already employ individuals within the city, why is it internal cost of $48,921 already associated?
Mr. Dinsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, those are the distributed wages of our employees who go out and do walk every sidewalk in the city of Thorold, plus prepare the tender, plus administer the contract as time goes on.
So we put it as expenditure, but it's really not expenditure. So the actual outlay for the taxpayer is $326,145 or $417,465 because mine says here total $417,465. What's going to get the taxpayers? Through you, Mr. Mayor, to
Go ahead, Mr. Dinsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the total cost is the $417,000.
Second, Mr. Mayor, $92,000 for bus pads. Do we know where these bus pads are going? To me, personally, I want to know where these bus pads are going. Are they a bus pad that's on a road, that's a Brock University road, or is this a municipal road? And maybe why are we, the municipality, expendituring this amount of money when a lot of these pads may be associated with the bus service that we give to Brock University or associated with Brock University? To you, Mr. Mayor, the appropriate staff member, $92,000 for bus pads, and where will these bus pads be located? Do we have a list?
Mr. Dinsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't currently have a list in front of me, but we can certainly get one to you, no problem. And the $92,000 is coming from, it's actually coming from the federal government.
Okay, well, I know you say you can supply a list, but I'd like to see a list. I maybe would like to see a list before I pass this as a counselor to see where the actual $92,000 is going, because I don't want to make a deal. I'm giving a $92,000 expenditure out there, and we get to determine where these pads may be going. So if I get a list of where these pads may be going, will be great. And also, through Ms. Mayor, the appropriate staff member, if I could ask, if I get a list of the actual replacement areas. I realize that a lot of these areas are going to be along K-Wall Drive and McDonald Avenue and Rose Avenue. And the reason I'm wanting to list Mr. Mayor is the last time I asked for such list, it took me an extensive amount of time to get the list. I in fact asked in September of last year, and it took me until March of this year to get the list. And the only reason being, Mr. Mayor, is I think some of my fellow councilors know it's been a pet project of mine in regards to sidewalk replacement, and I feel we haven't been getting what we have been paying for the last couple of years. And to assure myself and to do my due diligence, I'm asking for a list of the actual replacement areas so that I'm able to do some homework as a council and make sure we're actually getting what we paid for. For I do know that in the past we haven't gotten what we paid for.
Go ahead, Mr. Dinsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the list is public information. It was part of the tender. It was absolutely included in the tender. If you wanted to see it, we certainly could have supplied you with the tender had you asked. But short of that, we can certainly get it to you tomorrow if you want.
Sure, I appreciate that. We as council always get the contract, but in the past I've asked for the actual areas that we're doing, and in the documentation that I have as a council, that isn't actually defined. So if you could supply that to me, it would be greatly appreciated through my email. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I have no questions regarding sidewalk replacement. Other than that, I do believe that I brought a motion before here at this council asking that a report be brought forward in regards to sidewalk replacement, in regards to if we could do it internally. And I've yet to see that report, and I don't know when that report may be coming forward. And now we're into a position where we've tendered out the contract for 2017. I realize.
That question, Mr. Dinsmore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we've been having a significant number of conversations with the acting director as well as the supervisors in the Public Works Department. They are certainly trying to put together a cost estimate for that work. It's a little bit more challenging than you would suspect. The other issue is that the reason we brought it forward right now is because if we don't get on it, we're not going to get it done before the end of the year.
No, I realize that, and I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. So my being then that, seeing that we're in the contract negotiations now that's already been settled, that I can't see no reason why staff shouldn't have a report, as I requested in the past, to be brought forward, I would say, during the winter of 2018, if not the spring of 2018, so we as a council may make a decision as to whether we want to do it internally or keep it as it is now, because I would hate nothing more than next year's budget come forward with sidewalk replacement, and we've yet to have a report in front of me as I requested in regards to doing it ourselves internally. So that's my only concern. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Wayland and Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question to you, Schmon Parkway. New sidewalks on Cable, McDonald Roads, and Parkland. Will it be on both sides of the street, one side, or both sides?
To you, Mr. Mayor, it's just the one side. We have a map. We presented a map at the public meeting to the people, and they really helped decide which side we were going to put it on. But it will only be on one side of each of the
Can
streets.
you send the final map out to the council?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Dunsmore. Is this work going to be all completed in 2017?
To you, Mr. Mayor, that's certainly the plan, and Saco Construction assured me that that was going to be the case.
And another question is the $150,000 for sidewalk extension. Is that the sidewalks, the new sidewalks that are being placed on Cable, McDonald Roads, and Park Lane?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it is.
It is. Okay. And again, I'm a little concerned, as Councilor Manley said, about the bus pads. I'd really like to know where they're going, so if we could at least be sent that information relatively quickly, just to make sure they're being put in places that are going to be used for the long term.
Mr. Mayor, we will absolutely do that.
Are there any other speakers? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. DES 2017-66, update and extension to the existing HVAC services contract at various city of Thorold municipal facilities. I believe that's Mr. Wild.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the General Committee recommends that the existing HVAC service contract with Complete Comfort Niagara Incorporated to provide maintenance and service of the HVAC equipment at various City of Thorold municipal facilities be updated to include 2 Vine Street and extend it until September 30th, 2020, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the necessary agreement. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Wild. Any mover for the recommendation? Councilor Hanley. Speakers to the report. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. DES 2017-67, removal of holding provision, Park McCann Street, Plan 662. Mr. Dodson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a recommendation that the removal of the holding H symbol from the residential second density R2H-9 zone be supported, and that a bylaw to remove the holding provision be forwarded to the special council meeting this evening for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dodson. Take it to the report. Councilor Ugolini?
To move the report.
Speakers to the report. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We're in the Clerk's Department, CC 2017-40, amendment to terms of reference for Parks, Trails, and Recreation Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendation of the report is that council approve the amended terms of reference for the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Advisory Committee. This includes the report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Louvet. Taking a mover for the report, Councilor Sharon.
Move the report, Mr. Mayor, and I really, there's only one change there, and that's because of the fact that the committee that does the recognition of teams within the community has been pulled back off. One that has to report is just a totally different concept. What they do is to recognize people. What the rest of the recognition or the recreation park does is simply to provide facilities for people. It's a totally different concept. So we have requested that this be changed, and I think it's the right move to make because of the way the committee is doing function.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other speakers? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. CC 2017-43, delegated authority to city clerk to designate events of municipal significance under the liquor License Act. Ms. Goulet?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendations of the report are that the council of the corporation of the city of Thorold delegate authority to the city clerk or designate to consider requests and, when appropriate, to deem events as events of municipal significance under the Liquor License Act as amended, and that the delegation of powers be, by law, be presented at a special council meeting for approval. This includes the report.
Thank you, Ms. Goulet. Can you move for a report? Councilor Neal?
So moved.
Speakers to the report. Councilor Longo?
I'd like to defer this report if I could, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And what
Reason why? Because you're bringing a notice of motion forward that directly impacts this, I believe.
Okay.
So I don't think we should be, that's my thought.
The motion on the floor is to defer. There's no debating a deferral motion. So I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. CC 2017-44, Aging in Place Forum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recommendations of the report are that Thorold City Council support the Aging in Place event to be held on October 25th, 2017, and that any surplus realized from celebrating Age-Friendly Niagara event be reallocated to help with some costs associated with the Aging in Place event. This includes the report.
Thank you, Ms. Goulet. Can I get a mover for the report? Councilor Ulini?
I'll move the report.
The speakers to this report. Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have nothing in fire services. We have one in-camera section reading potential litigation matter. So, General Committee will now move into closed session. Immediately following the closed session, Council will reconvene into open session to hold a special council meeting to ratify all the reports approved tonight by the General Committee and to consider the following bylaws. Bylaw number 86, 2017, 88, 2017, and 89, 2017. Can I have a motion to move into closed session to discuss a litigation matter and potential litigation matter?
So moved.